of these people who died because they stand up and struggle to get out of the claws of British colonialism. We now sit and say, we must mourn. I am not one of them who's mourning, and I can...
Up to the time, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. I hope you all are doing good. Hope you all are doing great. So your boy here come across this one wherein it's a big interview with Mutabaruka concerning Queen Elizabeth. So guys, this one is gonna be really a warm and interesting one. So you wanna stay tuned, and don't forget, I'm here on the Black Unity program. So feel free to leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you're new. With that being said, let's go ahead and check what's going on in this one, my people. Let's walk.
Now, Jamaican poet, musician, your response to the death of Queen Elizabeth and also of the British Empire's relationship to Jamaica.
Well, good morning. I am totally in agreement with the first speaker. And I don't even want to go back into slavery because a lot of people claim that Queen Elizabeth was not responsible for what her ancestors did. She herself said that slavery was legal at the time, so she don't really recognize what we in the Caribbean is talking about. Now, we have to realize in 1952, that was when she ascended the throne of England. And if you check the history between 1952 and now, you will see that even though slavery was abolished, but they, what we call it, redefined slavery and call it colonialism. And colonialism in this part of the world was represented by the throne of England. So we're not really talking now about an individual person. We're talking about a corporation, an institution, which is called the Monarchy of England, that has totally devastated a lot of the progress we could have made if it wasn't for this what we call colonialism, interpreted to us as slavery still. Now, we have to remember, in her time, there was the Mama uprising, which is a very interesting case because she was actually named Queen of England when she was in Kenya. And the cruel and wicked things that the British Army did to the African people there cannot be seen as just, okay, that is just something. And she had never granted any sympathy or say anything that would say, well, you know, she have a kind of art to what was taking place. We look in South Africa during the apartheid system. The British is part of that wicked apartheid regime that devastated and killed thousands of Africans who was fighting for right to be a person in South Africa. And it was recently, even during the time of Mandela and Winnie Mandela, that we was told that they were still on the list of terrorist groups. And even though England and this queen was ruling at that time, there was no effort to find out what is it they can do to alleviate the problems that confront African people in this part of the world. Now we come to the Caribbean in this time. The Caribbean has been devastated. We know in history, one of the richest plantation owners, cane owners, was a man by the name of William Beckford. William Beckford got his riches and became one of the richest men in England in that time. And up to this day, when we recognize how much people died because of the institutionalized slavery that they call colonialism, up to this day, the movement of a people especially in Jamaica now, where our constitution was given to us by England through the hands of the so-called Bustamante and Norman Manley, who was recognized during that time in 1962 when Jamaica was supposed to be getting independent. They went to England and they got a constitution that is now part and parcel of what Jamaicans are supposed to live by. And when we look at that constitution, it does not include ownership of land in Jamaica by the people. If you go into the courts of Jamaica, it says the Crown versus Tom Stroke or the Crown versus John Tom. That is what we have to face right now. Now, when you recognize that Jamaica is supposed to be an independent country, most Jamaicans say Jamaica not independent. That even though people say it's like it's not really governing the country, but the head of state is the Governor General representing the Queen of England in an independent country. How the hell that is possible? That you have an independent country that is the first lady is the Governor General's wife, not the Prime Minister's wife. And they set and designed the Constitution that way. And these so-called, we call them bossy slaves, jacket and tie slaves, that they continue to uphold and maintain that regime that has committed so much atrocities and crimes in this century, in this time. They have been committing it and still committing it. And we don't see why we should now sit down and say 12-day mourning. That to show how backward and how what we call the Stockholm Syndrome has grabbed our leaders in the Caribbean. That here's a family that represent criminal activities of your ancestors. And now you start to love them. How is that possible? How is that possible that we who know the history is keep repeating the history? We know what is taking place in this democratic, so-called democratic country, that is still honoring the most gruesome and cruel monarchy that ever exists. And we know of it. How can we now sit and say, we're going to have 12 days of mourning? 12 days of mourning for what? But we're mourning that far. Why we're not mourning for the thousands and millions of people that died across the Atlantic Ocean? We're not mourning for all the warriors of our time. There's no day for Taki. There's no day for Nani. All of these people who died because they stand up and struggle to get out of the class of British colonialism. We now sit and say, we must mourn. I am not one of them who's mourning, and I can talk for a lot of Rastafari, brethren and sisters. We don't see it as a mourning time.
Mutabaruka, I wanted to ask your response to Charles, at the time Prince Charles, just a few weeks ago, praising the contribution of Jamaicans to British life as immeasurable in a message commemorating Jamaica's 60 years of independence from the UK. Now you have Jamaica also talking, like Antigua and Barbuda, of a referendum on complete independence, on becoming a republic. What do you think the outcome of that will be, and what would reparations and an apology look like to you? Be adequate for you? By the way, it's an honor to speak with you again after so many years, having talked to you in Brooklyn.
All right. What he's saying is what we expect him to say. You know, actions speak louder than words. And if he is here now to do certain things, he must understand how we feel as African people in this part of the world and what his family and ancestors did. So to address the situation, it's not just to say why he feel bad about what is happening. That is not apologizing, because he did that already. he came to the Caribbean and said, well, I feel bad about what was happening. We need somebody saying, look here, we see what happened, and we was responsible for it, and we're sorry, and we're going to make amends. And the amends come with what we call it, what them call getting something going between the governments of the different countries then to facilitate reparations and repatriation. Because we're not taking that out for those who desire to go back to Africa, because we came to Jamaica not by free will, but by force. Nobody asked to come to the Caribbean. None of these Africans, at least my ancestors, never asked to come here. So the Rastafari community is crying out, say, reparation, repatriation, meaning that those who desire us of going back to Africa must be able to do this without the argument about Commonwealth of Nations. And that is really an hindrance. There is no moving away from the Queen and the monarchy if the countries that claim getting rid of the monarchy is one. But if you still in the Commonwealth of Nations, that's still bind you and grip you to the same colonial system that you are trying to break free from. There's no getting rid of the Queen or getting rid of the King, and you're still into the Commonwealth. We as Jamaicans, there's a lot of grandfathers and who's living today who fought in the Royal Air Force during the World War II and who went to England to help build up England. And what we hear now, first of all, Jamaicans have to have a visa to go to the so-called motherland. Jamaicans is not allowed to stay there at a certain length of time. And now we have the Windrush people who just recently, we see that they're trying to send back people who was in England for 60 years and have children at them house and everything. They're sending them back to Jamaica. That is one of the most racist things that I have ever seen in my lifetime.
So my people, this one was indeed a warm and interesting one. So feel free to leave an honest comment down in the comment section, and also own opinion. And don't know say me day upon the Black Unity program. So feel free to leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you're new. Bless up, big up to each and every one. Up until then, peace out, adios.